Good morning, EIS, members of the faculty, teachers, family, friends, parents, and class of 2017. Woo! You did it. I have to say, your gowns look so much better than ours did. In 1996, our guys were purple, we had the green uniforms. Your uniforms are now not green anymore, right? No, thank God. So, I mean it in a good way, thank God. So, Dolly just told me something about your class, which is very interesting. You guys are one of the most hardworking and respectful classes that she's had. That goes a long way. Respect is a big deal. That goes a long way. She also said, because I do a lot of women advocacy, that you have a class president, secretary, and treasurer that are women. Amazing. Very cool. I am most honored to be here today. And even though I may not be your model student, some teachers here will know it. Some teachers who will be watching on Facebook, such as Mr. Michael Yap Memby, they will definitely know that I did not graduate with honors. In fact, I failed algebra, chemistry, algebra 2. I was no C. Yang Wang. Who's C. Wang? Yeah, is that you? 3.96. Wow. Congratulations. No, that wasn't me. In fact, the failing is probably what made me stronger today. So today, I'm going to talk about who will you become? How will you face in front of obstacles and challenges? I'll tell you now, the class that I graduated with me in 1996 was definitely, yes, 21 years ago, was a mixed batch. We had young geniuses that got full score in the SAT and GMATs. We had people that went to Stanford from the same class, to Harvard. Some became celebrities, musicians. Some became high-powered executives at Google, at the World Bank. Some became doctors, investment bankers, and some of us were lucky enough to start our own companies and become successful in it. But what if I told you that some of these same people dropped out of high school, came from broken families, even got knocked up and pregnant earlier in their time, went broke, some were addicts, had depression, some were victims of domestic violence from their mom, dad, brother, sister, or girlfriends or boyfriends. But some of these people, most of them actually, excelled. How did they get through this, and what made them different, and what made them excel? I won't tell you which one I'll have. I'll let you decide that yourself. So while writing this speech, it took me a while. I had to look back on things. And again, it was exactly 21 years ago that I graduated from me. The odds were stacked against me. What did I do that made me all the things that Dolly just said just now? What did I do that's worthy enough to share to you on this very important day before you take the next step in life? As the late Steve Jobs said, you can never connect the dots going forward. You can only connect them when you look back and backwards. This makes your motto very fitting. Behind is infinite power. Ahead is unlimited possibility. I love that. What does it mean? If I had to look back today, my power came from strength that was attributed from failures, struggles, challenges, but also the willpower to execute and resilience. Some of you might not know me, but I like to use my case studies because I think maybe some of you might have the same background, might have some of the same challenges, Might doubt yourself and think that maybe I can never do the things that I actually want to do. But I'm going to tell you that a lot of us are very similar, and I like to use my life mistakes, successes to perhaps make you feel empowered, make you feel that, hey, I could do it too. So the year was 1989. This was my first challenge. I had just moved back from the States when I was 12, and I entered EIS. At that time, it was called AES, Advanced English School. We had blue uniforms there. And I was dark, awkward. I was called Skeletor. That was the name people called me. I don't know if you know what Skeletor is, but if you Google it, it was an 80s comics called from He-Man, and he was a skeleton and the bad guy. Anyway, I was called Skeletor because I was so skinny and dark, and I wore glasses, I had no boobs. I was just awkward. I remember liking those guys, and those guys never even taking a second look at me. One other main thing I had was I didn't act Thai. I looked Thai, but I didn't act Thai. So people were like, what is wrong with you? And I didn't get them either. This was the first time I encountered culture shock. I was 12. What did I do? For some reason, I embraced the weird. I was like, you know what, guys? I'm weird. Deal with it. And that was fine. Somehow, I don't know where that came from, but I decided I'm going to be weird. If you can't deal with it, okay. Skeletor then became social vice president of the student council at EIS and head cheerleader. And I even wore my glasses when I was cheerleading, too. So that helped me throughout EIS. This is what I believe. Learning, lesson one for me. How people react in different events and obstacles and challenges is actually the thing that defines you. A friend just told me this last week. You know when people get into a car accident and then one guy's like rage and like yelling and kicking, and then the other guy gets out of the car, same situation, basically accepts the situation, takes out his insurance forms, and basically says, hey guy, okay, let's just deal with it, and then walks home. So what's the difference here? It's the same accident. People get into the same car accident, yet one person deals with it differently, and one other person deals with it differently. One goes home angry, and the other one goes along his way into the rest of his life. Same thing with the issue throughout my EIS days. I could have gone through school angry and withdrawn. I mean, frankly, at that point, my father and mother divorced. I was raised with a single mom. Financial crisis hit. We were not happy. Me and my sister, as my sister's sitting here today, we had to grow up practically kind of on our own, unlike what everybody else was going through at that time. But you know, plus my grades sucked. But you know, I never let this become the excuse of my life. Learning two, embrace all your opportunities, no matter how little it is. So, a little bit right after EIS, I graduated, got into Thammasat University. Anybody going to Thammasat here? Anybody? Oh, yay. It's amazing. Thammasat is great. Congratulations, guys. So Thammasat, fourth year. For some reason, I didn't learn. My grades were still really bad. I had to work extra hard again. This is, again, in no way saying that you should have bad grades. It just means that you work so much more harder. If I was Si Yang Wang, my life would be so much easier. But I wasn't, so I actually had to work hard, and so I applied, being the overachiever I was, applied to PricewaterhouseCoopers as an intern for corporate finance and investment banking. I got in as an intern because that day I read the newspapers. And the TPI debt restructuring was going on, and I got to name drop a little bit and say, hey, yeah, I read that, I know exactly what's going on. And I got in. Lucky me. But the first day that I was there, I remember they made me Xerox. I mean, I was already happy that I got in, so I didn't mind too much. So I was like, okay, fine. I graduated, finance, I'm Xeroxing. But again, it was the mindset change. So I decided, you know, if I'm Xeroxing, the thing that I'm Xeroxing, it must be important to my bosses. So I kept on reading it and reading it. The internet just started around that time. I know, so old, right? This is the year 2000. And so what I did was I read it, I made reports, I went on the internet, found some more information about whatever it was that I was Xeroxing, and I gave them reports. And they were like, whoa, you can get all this off of the internet. I'm like, yeah, you can. So worked really hard, interned until every day I was there until midnight. Then the most amazing thing happened. They carved out a position just for me. At that time, CF and IB at Pricewaterhouse didn't allow undergraduates to join, that you had to have a master's degree. And they created the first analyst degree for me. So, you know, just taking that small little thing, I could have been like, oh, I'm beneath Xeroxing. But you know what? Did it, went with it, and just powered through. Learning 3. Be prepared for disappointment. Today's your day today. You know, you're so bright and joyful, and you should be. There will be disappointments. That's just the fact of life. It really is how you prepare yourself for it. Determine how you will handle it, and that will define you. When I joined Lehman Brothers, at that time, I joined the asset management division. I was data entry. You know what that means? That means I had 24,000 lines of Excel where I had to translate from English to Thai, Thai to English, people's names and phone numbers and addresses and everything. Oh my God, that was my life. I was there until midnight every day. And all I wanted to do was get into the Lehman Brothers investment banking program in New York. If you don't know Lehman Brothers, it's from that movie, The Big Short, the one on Wall Street. That was the one that went down a couple years later. I didn't have anything to do with that. But that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to get into that program. But my boss didn't think I had the Ivy League pedigree. I mean, Thomasat was good enough, but he wanted Stanford. I wasn't from Stanford. So what did I do? Kept on working, doing my job, working on pitch decks. I was working alone. I was the only analyst again at that time until 3 a.m. every day. I remember correcting spelling mistakes, going to sleep at 7 a.m., flipping it to my boss, her working on the day. 4 p.m. I would wake up, work on it all night, and flip it to her again. This was my life. That's banking. If you guys are going to get into banking, that's what you do. It was fun though. I loved it. And again, I just kept on trying. One day, the government was trying to set up a national asset management company. We had just gone through the Asian crisis. There was a lot of debt, all these portfolios. And what happened was, I stepped up and set up a meeting and introduced my boss to then Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. Long story how that happened, but I actually didn't know him personally. My mom kind of grew up with him, found out what flight he was on, bought myself a ticket, sat right next to him, and pitched in my business. And so with that, I was able to introduce my boss to, again, Prime Minister at that time. Then I got slotted into other Lehman deals, finally took the Thailand Senate Finance Committee to Wall Street. So in the end, I got my way. I entered Lehman Brothers and went to New York and eventually got the job I wanted. Wasn't traditional the way I did it. Had to be scrappy, but I did it. Learning 4. Be prepared for lots of failure. Again, I don't mean to be the doomsday prepper, but you know, with failure, it comes with personal failure, disappointment, self-doubt, insecurity, disappointment with work, disappointment with everything, right? It's gonna happen in life. But have no fear, it happens to every one of us. Some of us are better of keeping it within. Some of us are better or not better at keeping it within, you know? If it happens to you, just know that it happens to everyone and keep going. So after 3 years of Singha Beer and what I thought were pretty good jobs, Pricewaterhouse, Lehman Brothers, Singha Beer, yes, I sold beer. That's when I did all those things around the world. I still wasn't happy with life. You know how people always say, find your passion, find your passion? I still didn't find my passion. All I knew was I was accumulating skill set, which I still would like to advise you guys to still do. I wasn't happy in my life, and I embarked into what I call my 5 years of F my life. We can't swear here, so. I started 4 businesses in TV and media because I knew I wanted to get into TV and media. Then disaster hit, floods hit, advertising dollars were pulled, and then my last project, I was engaged to do a TV project for one of the richest guys in Thailand. You may know it now, it's called PPTV, but I was one of the founding teams that did that. I thought that was gonna be, I helped it with the team, put it together, did the shows, you know, hired the people, did all the tech part with the team, right? That was gonna be my job. That was gonna be my life. That's like, oh, I found everything I wanted. I got the skill set, I'm like, it's a great business. And then I got fired. I didn't get along with the lady boss that was there. She was strong, I was strong, I was miserable. I went into depression. I took it really, really hard. It was like all these things I worked for, and this was finally it. And then I got fired. I went broke. I went out. I was over 30 too. My parents wanted me to have kids. Problem is, I've been single for 10 years. There was no boy in the picture. There was no husband. That was a pretty hard time. But I remember during that time, I was insecure, I was depressed. I even questioned if I was worthy of anything at all. I questioned life. I questioned why I should even be around. Took a trip to Gotchan, did some self-exploring, and came back to Bangkok. Then a LinkedIn message popped up. And basically I went in for an interview, knew nothing about this firm called Rocket Internet, which actually was the firm that brought in Lazada. Knew nothing about it, but I knew it was, okay, tech was kind of the way to the future, net and shopping online and stuff. Got hired, became the #2 Thai employee there, and soon that was the thing that changed my life. You know, it's just funny. If you just persevere and just keep on going, things will happen, you know. It can't be like this forever. You can't just suck forever. Like, if you keep trying, things will come your way. Learning 5. Finding your passion project does not come. And last learning, but finding your passion project doesn't come on day 1. Build the skill set. Have faith. It will come to you. But you gotta work for it. A year later from Lazada, I had the bright idea that I wanted my own shopping platform. I wanted to do it myself. I left Lazada with 2 other co-founders, started Moxy, which is the only online shopping destination dedicated to women in Southeast Asia. And the reason why it's for women, I'll tell you why. It's just not being discriminatory at all. But this is when actually this was 2013, and things started to move fast. But I had to go through so many things. Within these past 4 years, I had to go through raising money, letting go of key co-founders, letting go of team members, employees, because we almost ran out of money 4 times. I got pregnant without planning my pregnancy with my now current partner, and they're twins. and had to fundraise at this. I mean, there was so much going on. Like, there was the kids, there was like, am I gonna get married? Like, is my company gonna survive? Like, so much competition. I can't tell you the feelings and self-doubt and failures that I actually went through. And I was gonna give up so many times. I felt it was never gonna happen for me. Was this gonna be the same thing again, like PPTV, where I got fired from it? I don't know. Then one thing happened. With all the competition that happened, we went back and we looked at our numbers and our data, and we saw that 75% of the people we were selling to were women. That's why we went to women. And I love the women advocacy. I like speaking out for women because it, raised by a single mom, I have 2 other sisters, it was just all around me, and just had twins that were twin girls, it just made it simple. But at that point, I was able to marry my love of business with my passion of social and women advocacy. I had finally been able to find my passion and build it into my business. 3 mergers and acquisitions later, today Moxy is now called ORAMI. We're in 2 countries, Thailand and Indo. We have 350 employees, and over the past 2 years, doing double to triple digit millions of dollars a year, now recognized as one of the top tech players in the region. We've been featured on Bloomberg, Vanity Fair, TechCrunch, and our investors contain international grades like Eduardo Severin, the guy that co-founded Facebook. Have you seen the movie? It's the other guy, not Mark Zuckerberg. Last year, I was Thailand's Entrepreneur of the Year, spoke at last year's Fortune's Most Powerful Women, became UN Women's He for She Advocate, and today I'm proud of what we have achieved today. But as I look back and remember all the trials and challenges I had, if Skeletor back then actually was faced with all that against me, if I crawled up into my little corner and let Skeletor die, that all this would never have happened. So why am I telling you all this? It's not to be a doomsdayer and prep you, but really, I wanted to tell you that everything's about mindset. It's in your head. It's how you deal with challenges. It's how you set up and gear up your minds today for the future. Things might not work out, but they do happen for a reason. It's really how you own it and how you deal with it. You will have disappointment. You will come up with obstacles. You might be single for a long time. You might break up with people. You might lose relationships. You might get fired, might not get that promotion or job. It's really how you deal with the issues. Allow yourself to be lost sometimes. Forgive yourself. Be nice to yourself. Everyone gets self-doubt here and there. Just power through. But there will be times when you surprise yourself. Work hard, pay your dues, accumulate the skills, and don't worry about the passion. It will come. Be resilient and keep going. You will be triumphant and power will find you as you fail. And iterate and fail and iterate, but it will turn to success and iterate and success and iterate. Who you are is defined onto how you react to challenges. Remember that car accident that I just talked about? Are you going to be that guy that picks a fight, goes home angry? Or are you going to be that guy or girl that settles his insurance, accepts the fact, and goes along his way or her way and drives into the sunset? Remember your motto. Behind is infinite power. Ahead is unlimited possibility. So go forth, class of 2017. Be fearless, be practical, embrace your opportunities no matter how little or small. Learn from your mistakes and anticipate that there'll be more struggle. But do your best to get over it and plow through life. So weave your next dream and power through. You are stronger than you think. Do as Adele says, set fire to the rain and let it loose. No matter what cards you were dealt with, there are no excuses. Gear up, set your mindset today. Brace yourself for the challenges ahead. You will triumph. You will succeed. You will win. Thank you so much. I wish you the best.